Welcome to another review. Today we're going to be talking about Christopher Landon's new film, Drop. First of all, I just want to say I'm so sorry that this review is late. I was supposed to see this movie last weekend. Never made it out. I was exhausted. I had some other stuff going on, and I just unfortunately never made it. So I finally got to see it today, and I really enjoyed it. So in this movie, you essentially follow a widowed mother who gets up the courage to finally go on her first date in a long time, and on the date she starts to get these mysterious drops from which essentially is an airdrop from, but they call them something else in the movie, from an anonymous person telling her to do all these sinister things, and things take a very dark turn. Christopher Landon, he's done pretty much every movie he's done I've really enjoyed. Like, he's directed the two Happy Death Day movies, Freaky, that came out a few years ago, and one called Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which at the time I didn't know who Christopher Landon was, but I thought that movie was really, really funny. He's written a bunch of really good stuff. I know he's written a lot of the Paranormal Activity movies, which I know a lot of people's not a fan of. He did the second Happy Death Day, he did Freaky, he wrote Disturbia, which I didn't know about until recently. Like, I love that movie, by the way. I think that's a great movie and a great story. And I even found out that he pitched a second one to that, which would have been interesting. But he also did Hard Eyes that just came out. Or he wrote Hard Eyes that just came out this year as well, which I also didn't know. So that's really cool. And I know he was supposed to do Scream 7, and I think he would have been such a perfect fit for that, especially taking over from the Radio Silence guys. But all that stuff happened with that. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying he would have been a really good fit for that. So one of the things I really liked about this movie was it's almost set at a perfect pace. Like, the movie's only like an hour and 30 some minutes, maybe an hour and 40, and the pace is fantastic. Like, it never drags, it never has any of those moments where you're like, okay, let's get to it. It is able to keep you on your feet and keep you guessing and on your toes and wondering what is going to happen throughout all of this movie. And while that is going on, you were trying to put pieces of stuff together at this, as it's going, and it doesn't always work out the way you think it is. There's a couple things that I, you know, tried to put together while I was watching it, and nothing. I was totally wrong on all fronts. There's a few things I got close-ish on, but there's a lot of red herrings and stuff in there that you kind of go for, and you're like, well, that's a little too obvious. It almost really reminded me of like an old school Hitchcock movie, something like Rear Window, because it's similar in the fact that you're in this one location, you're in the restaurant for the majority of the movie, and I love the layout of the restaurant. It's a very unique looking restaurant, how they've done that, and I think they kind of set it up in this perfect way where you're able to pull off the execution of this, this dropping airdrops and stuff that you want to do throughout this movie. And like I said, it creates this perfect bottleneck thriller movie. This is more of a mystery whodunit, and we don't really get a lot of those anymore other than slashers. This one takes more of the psychological approach, which is what makes it feel more like Hitchcockian. And honestly, I thought the two leads in this movie were worked off each other very well. I thought they had very great chemistry. Like, I bought into their dialogue. I bought into the fact that they were really on this first date, and you had those little jokes and awkward moments and stuff like that. And I don't know, it just felt really believable. Like, I could really buy into that this was definitely, a first date for these guys. And another thing I like too is that it's one of those movies that it ups the stakes. Like, the longer the movie goes on for, the more everything gets amplified. And the more you're like, oh shit, how's this gonna get pulled off? Or, oh, how's how's she gonna do that? And it's got this very good way of just keeping your attention while moving, like I said, at the pace at the beginning. There's not a bad pace at all, while you keep this very good pace throughout. I do think this is one of those movies for some people, and trust me, I'm friends with some of these people, that depending on how much you can suspend your disbelief, there's going to be so much in this movie that you'll be able to pick apart right from the go. Because there was even one part in this movie where I was like, how was that possible? But okay, but I was like, sure. But it does show stuff later on in the movie that kind of answers those questions, and it leaves you with okay, sure. But there's just going to be some people that I don't think any explanation or any, no explanation is going to be good enough. They're going to just be like, nope, that's not going to work. That would never happen that way. There's no, and that's okay. There's just some people that can't do that with certain movies. Like, they have to be able to believe it. So I totally understand that. Just know if you're one of those people, I don't think this is going to work for you at all. Honestly, it's the same for how much this guy is willing to put up with throughout the majority of this date. I mean, she's acting crazy. She's getting up and leaving the table every couple minutes. She's looking at other people, wondering what's going on. She's looking at her phone constantly. She's wandering around the restaurant, going to the bathroom, whatever, just all the time. And I know, not even just a guy in general. I know any ladies, guys, whatever, any human being would eventually be like, you know what? Fuck it. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't have to put up with this. But they paint this guy as a very understanding, nice guy. But I understand where you're coming from with that, because as somebody who tries to be understanding, I would probably go on longer than I should have, but in my head I'd be like, okay, I don't know. This is really, strange and weird, but like I'm getting red flags out the yin yang, but I'm trying to be understanding about certain stuff, and it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things where, yeah, you really gotta suspend, your disbelief with stuff. I mean, even the actor Brandon Skellner, I hope that's how you say his name. That's a good looking dude. I mean, come on now, he's a very good looking dude. I know this dude's got no problem finding dates, or so it's like, he's not gonna. In reality, he wouldn't be like, you know what? Why would I sit here? But like I said, they try to paint him. They do paint him as this very nice, caring guy, and that's something I do really appreciate throughout. Because it's like, if again, because it adds to that thing of you care about this person, you really care about the both of them. But again, that's a good thing, because again, like I've said in many other reviews, if you don't care, there's no point. This is a movie that really hinges on you caring about the characters. And that's something I actually really, really do love about Christopher Landon's movies, whether it be his writing and directing, but any of the things that he's done. He always has a way to bring these moments of heart to the movie, like in Happy Death Day, especially the second one. It touches more on Tree and her mom, and like the stuff where they get to connect together again. And it was the same in Freaky with Catherine Newton's character, again with the mom and her sister, and just the family dynamic. And he's very great at doing that. And in this movie in particular, it's she's talking about, her past relationship she was in, and how she got out of that, and it was, come to find out it was an abusive relationship, and you get little snippets of that throughout the movie. They have this moment where they're kind of having this heart to heart, and they're talking about their past and the stuff that they've been through, and it's just very good writing, because it's a way of making you care, and it just brings that heart and that human connection to these characters that make them so relatable, and gives you something to latch on to, and to make you more invested. And Christopher Landon's always been great at that, in all the movies that he's done. Always just such great about, like I said, just giving just such great heart to something. Even in the middle of something like Freaky, which was, this comedic serial killer type movie, it's got a way to pause for a moment, and just have this moment with the characters where you connect with them. It was the same in this movie. You got all this craziness going along in this crazy, thriller, but it takes a moment to just bring it down, ground it, and let you have a moment with these characters where you're like, oh. And it's just this nice human connection where people can latch on to that. And it's just something relatable, because in this movie it's got something to say with domestic relationships and things like that, and I feel like that's a very real thing that people can easily connect to, and they'll be able to hang on to Violet's character, who's the main character. You'll be able to hang on to Violet and make her more relatable. So kudos to Christopher Landon. I know other people's helped him write movies too, but kudos to him and his other writers. And I just think I love movies where you can have these moments and then bring it down, and then you go right back into it again, because it never takes you out of anything, because it's just so well paced and everything's so well done that it's not like this knee-jerk reaction where immediately you're like full-blown thriller, and then this moment happens. It's got a way of easing you down into it where you can have this connection, and then it just ramps right back up again. And it's just this perfect wave all the way through it. I actually really enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. Again, it's another movie from Blumhouse, and I've seen the trailer for it about 150 million times with all the movies that I've seen. So I was so tired of seeing the trailer. I was like, I'll give it to them. They marketed the shit out of this movie as they do with any other Blumhouse movie. But this is definitely up on the higher end of some of the stuff Blumhouse has done over the last year or so. And it's one, like I said, I walked into, and I was just like, yeah, we'll see how this goes. And I actually walked out, and I was like, that was actually pretty good. I actually really, really enjoyed that movie. And I know I've said this, I don't know how many times in my other reviews this year, but this would also be in that category. This would be a really good date movie. This isn't one that I can see a lot of people rushing out to the theater for unless you're really into that thriller whodunit type of movie. But I mean, I would recommend it because, like I said, it's a fun time, and there's a lot of laughs in it as well. There's some great comedic stuff woven in, and the stuff with their waiter. He's like the comedic relief of the movie, and he does. there's some stuff that's pretty good throughout. This is the type of movie that you can go enjoy in the theater, but you can also sit at home and enjoy it as well. I always try to encourage people to go to the theater because I don't know, it's maybe just a me thing because I love it and I don't want cinema to die, and I want people to go see these certain movies because I want more of them like this to be made. And like I said, we don't get a lot of whodunits anymore unless it's more of a slasher, so it's kind of cool to see this old school take on a like Hitchcock style movie again. And I would love to have more movies like that, especially if they're really well written and the mystery is very intriguing and really pulls you into it. If you're looking for a movie that's filled with tension and just keeps you on the edge of your seat and keeps you guessing all the way through it, I would say definitely go check this one out. It's really, really just a really fun time. And if you're somebody like me who has anxiety, there's so many like that awkward first date or awkward conversations that goes on in this movie that kind of even ramps the tension up even more because you're like, so having all that awkwardness on top of like the tension, you're kind of, like I said, if you're like me, you're kind of just like, this is severely uncomfortable because stuff that one of the main characters knows but cannot tell the other character. So you're just like, so like I said, if you have any form of anxiety, I feel like that kind of ups the ante to another level, to a whole other level. So yeah, I would go check it out in the theater. It's just a lot of fun. Great. It's a really good story, great writing, great mystery. And like I said, it's just one we don't get a lot of anymore. So I would definitely go check it out. Thank you, everybody. That's my review for Drop. Again, I'm so sorry that this review is late. If you haven't, please check out some of my other 2025 reviews. I'll leave a card right up here for that. And if you like what I'm doing or you like what I have to say, please come on over to the channel and like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And if you've seen Drop, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And as always, I will see all of you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.